The Battle of Khaybar was a significant military engagement fought in 629 CE-7 in the Islamic calendar between the early Muslim community, led by the Prophet Muhammad, and the Jewish tribes residing in the oasis of Khaybar, located in the northern Arabian Peninsula. The battle is notable for its role in the consolidation of Muslim power in the Arabian Peninsula and the eventual establishment of Islam as a dominant force in the region. Khaybar was a well-fortified oasis about 150 kilometers north of Medina, modern-day Saudi Arabia, and it was home to several Jewish tribes who had been living in the region for centuries. These tribes were known for their agricultural wealth, including date palms, and had a strong military presence with well-defended fortresses. Pre-battle context. After the Treaty of Hudaybiyah in 628 CE-6, a peace agreement between the Muslims and the Quraysh tribe of Mecca, the Muslims were able to focus more on expanding their influence in Arabia. The Quraysh and other tribes in the region were hesitant to accept the growing power of Islam, which led to tensions. Some of the Jewish tribes in Khaybar had been in conflict with the Muslims before the battle, and they were suspected of colluding with the Quraysh and other hostile tribes against the Muslims. The Muslims were also concerned about their strategic location, which made them a potential threat. The tribes of Khaybar had previously made alliances with Mecca, and they were involved in various skirmishes with the Muslims. In light of these threats, the Prophet Muhammad decided to take military action against them. The Muslim army for the Battle of Khaybar was led by the Prophet Muhammad, who personally commanded the forces, although various commanders played key roles in the campaign, including Ali ibn Abi Talib, Abu Bakr, and Umar ibn al-Khattab. The total number of Muslim forces was around 1,400 to 2,000 soldiers, including infantry, cavalry, and archers. Jewish defenders of Khaybar. The defenders of Khaybar were the various Jewish tribes who had settled there, including the Banu Nadir, Banu Qurayza, and Banu Qaynuqa. They had a strong military presence, including fortresses and strategic locations. They were well equipped with weapons and had experience in defending their settlements. The Siege of Khaybar. The battle was not a single engagement but rather a series of clashes and sieges. The Muslims first laid siege to Khaybar's fortresses, which were known for their strong defensive structures. The most important of these forts were Qamis, Nair, and Shik, also known as Al-Nim and Al-Katiba. 1. Initial skirmishes. The Muslims began their approach to Khaybar with a series of skirmishes and attempts to take control of the outer fortresses. In these initial engagements, the Muslims faced strong resistance from the defenders. The fort of Qamis was the first fortress to be attacked, and it was fiercely defended by the Jewish forces. 2. Capture of fortresses. The Muslim forces gradually advanced and captured a series of the Khaybar forts. The defenders put up strong resistance, but their defenses were eventually overwhelmed. The Prophet Muhammad initially sent Abu Bakr and then Umar ibn al-Khattab to attack the fortresses, but both failed to capture the strongholds. This led to Muhammad sending Ali ibn Abi Talib, his cousin and one of his top generals, to lead the final assault on Qamis. Ali's leadership and bravery played a pivotal role in the Muslim victory. The fort was taken, and the defenders were forced to surrender. 3. The role of Ali ibn Abi Talib. Ali ibn Abi Talib is particularly famous for his role in the Battle of Khaybar. He led the Muslims in some of the fiercest battles and managed to defeat the defenders in the strongholds. One of the most famous events was when he reportedly lifted the gate of the fort. In some versions of the story, this is referred to as the Gate of Khaybar, which was said to be an extremely heavy door, and used it as a shield during the battle. Ali's valor was crucial in the final success, and his contributions to the battle were celebrated by the Muslims. Aftermath and terms of surrender. After the defeat of the Jewish tribes in Khaybar, the Muslims entered the remaining forts and captured the entire region. However, rather than executing the defenders or enslaving them, Muhammad offered them a peaceful resolution. The Jewish people of Khaybar were allowed to remain in the oasis and continue their agricultural work, but they had to pay a form of tribute jizya to the Muslims in return for protection. This arrangement was a common practice in the early years of Islamic expansion and ensured that the Jews could maintain their livelihoods while acknowledging Muslim rule. The Jews of Khaybar agreed to the terms and were allowed to stay in the region as long as they paid the tribute. This was a notable instance of Muhammad's approach to governance, where conquered peoples were not persecuted but instead integrated into the social fabric of the Muslim state. Significance of the battle. Point 1. Consolidation of Muslim power. The capture of Khaybar was a major step in solidifying the position of the Muslims in the Arabian Peninsula. The victory removed a significant threat from the north and opened up the region to Muslim settlement and economic exploitation. It also weakened any potential alliances between the Jewish tribes and the Quraysh, or other enemies of the Muslims. 2. The end of Jewish resistance in Arabia. After the battle, the major Jewish tribes in Arabia were effectively subdued. Khaybar remained a significant Jewish stronghold for a time, but the conflict marked the end of large-scale Jewish military resistance to the growing Muslim state in the region. 3. Economic and strategic gains. Khaybar's fertile land and resources, including its date palms, were valuable to the Muslims. The capture of Khaybar also allowed the Muslims to secure important trade routes and resources that helped support their military and economic growth in the years that followed. 4. Religious significance. The Battle of Khaybar reinforced the growing belief among the Muslims that they were divinely supported, and it was seen as a further validation of their cause and the leadership of Prophet Muhammad. PBUH. The success at Khaybar added to the growing influence of Islam and increased its prestige throughout the Arabian Peninsula. The Battle of Khaybar marked a pivotal moment in the early history of Islam. It ended Jewish resistance in northern Arabia, provided the Muslims with vital resources and military advantages, and demonstrated the leadership abilities of Muhammad and his companions, particularly Ali ibn Abi Talib. The battle's aftermath saw the peaceful integration of the Jewish community into the new Muslim state, which was a significant feature of the early Islamic conquests.